Once again, I want to say good morning to all of you. Thank you for your presence here this morning. And please be advised that the Committee on Public Safety, Border Safety, Military, and Veterans Affairs, to include the Mayor's Council of Guam, Infrastructure, or DPW, Mass Transit, will convene a public hearing today at 9 a.m. in the morning here at the legislature. Now, the first bill, 4235, is in reference to an act to grant administrative jurisdiction of a 2-acre portion of partial 5109R2 municipality of Tamuning for the Guam Regional Transit Authority. Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill 4235 was introduced at the request of the Guam Regional Transit Authority with concurrence from the Department of Land Management. And we did send this notice out prior to today's hearing. And those that are here to testify this morning, please sign this so that we can just call upon you. And if you do have a written testimony or verbal testimony, we will be calling upon you. And also you can send your written testimony to my office, located at Bridge Point Building, Suite 202, 140 Aspinall Avenue, or send it to my email, Senator Pedo at senatorjpterlaje.com. Now, those that are providing testimony this morning, you can come up and sit in front of the... Is there anybody else that will be testifying on behalf of Bill 4235? Okay, before we commence, I want to recognize on my immediate left, Senator Joe San Agustin, Senator Jim Moylan, and to my immediate right, Senator Terlaje. Go ahead, Chell.
Half Day Chairman Terlaje. Mr. Chairman and Senators, undang kulunas Jesus Masi for allowing me to testify on Bill number 4235. My name is Celestine Cruz Bedauta, and I am the Interim Executive Manager for the Guam Regional Transit Authority. With me this morning are two of my team members, Rally Filipina, Chief Planner, and Pilar Carbolito, my Federal Programs Manager. Mr. Chairman and Senators, the transfer of the 2-acre parcel of property will be a tremendous milestone for the GRTA. GRTA will have an opportunity to put out a request for proposal to pay for an architectural and engineering design to construct a maintenance facility that will help in the maintenance and repair of GRTA vehicles. Since 2011, $237,500 in federal funds were programmed for the intent of designing a maintenance building. As you can see, it's a long time coming, but with your leadership, Mr. Chairman, and the support of the 35th Guam Legislature, GRTA will be able to see the successful accomplishment of this legislation. Mr. Chairman, this facility is vital to the GRTA's ability to accomplish its mission. Several years ago, GRTA ventured out and purchased 23 vehicles, 12 MV1 vans, and 11 minibuses. Because there was neither a maintenance facility nor a viable maintenance contract, the vehicles were operated but not effectively maintained. As a result, many ended up needing major repairs work on them. Presently, only 11 of the 23 vehicles are operational. Despite the fact that less than 50% of the vans and buses are running, GRTA is able to provide limited transit support to persons with disabilities and those who are not. With the maintenance facility, GRTA will have a place where its buses and vans will receive adequate maintenance. Perhaps some of you are wondering what else is GRTA doing to improve the island's transit system, in addition to the A&E design for a maintenance facility. Mr. Chairman and Senators, we at the GRTA are committed to make our system better. A month ago, bus specifications package was brought to the Attorney General's office for their review and approval to purchase 10 minibuses in the amount of $1,085,000. With the vehicle fleet that the GRT currently has, and upon arrival of the 10 minibuses, Guam will then begin to have a more reliable and safe transit system. Buses and vans on the roads, buses on backup, and in maintenance status. Moreover, another $1 million in federal funds have been programmed to construct the maintenance facility, and hoping to add another $500,000 in federal funds so that the GRTA administration, maintenance, and operations will be under one roof. With this concept, GRTA will be able to effectively manage the maintenance and operations of the transit agency. Mr. Chairman and Senators, along with the A&E, purchase of new buses, construction of a maintenance facility, GRTA delivered 2 days ago to the Attorney General's office specifications for a transportation management system for review and approval. The GRTA will expend $205,000 in federal funds to procure the system. The TMS will enable GRTA to offer much improved support for our customers, command and control for bus operations, and data needed for the federal government reports. Furthermore, riders will be able to make bus reservations, pay for their rides, monitor bus scheduling, interface with mobile application, and more. GRTA is capable of doing much more to meet the transportation needs of Guam's populations, its visitors, and the mandates of Public Law 30-5. However, it needs additional funding. Mr. Chairman and Senators, the island of Maui in Hawaii, an island comparable to Guam's population, has a budget for its transit system of $9 million annually for fixed and paratransit bus operations and maintenance. GRTA's budget for FY19 is $3.2 million. Mr. Chairman and Senators, once again, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to come before this august body to convey my support on Bill number 4235. Sinceramente, Celestine Cruz Bebauta, Interim Executive Manager for GRTA. Thank you.
You know, there's like $2 million. Is that $2 million lapse on the budget for the mass transit since 2014? Is that 2014?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. From what BEBMR passed on to me upon my arrival as the interim executive manager, I was told that from 2014 to 2018, the average amount of lapsed funds, local funds, is about $200,000. And I can assure you that with that in mind, I've directed my ASO, Administrative Services Officer, to provide me with a budget breakdown on a weekly basis. And in addition to that, I would like to try and convince the board the transit board that we make budget a big item on our agenda as we meet to further discuss the operations of the GRTA.
So right now you have, how many working vehicles do you have?
Sir, right now, this morning I was looking at our vehicle status, and we have 6 of the minibuses and 5 of the MV1 vans.
So how many vehicles are in process for repairs?
For repair, we have, I believe, about 5 for repair.
Okay,
We have two buses that are currently really in disrepair that we had to salvage.
So you have 5 vehicles that needs to be repaired?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Have you gotten any financial analysis on just how much it would cost to repair those 5 vehicles?
My transportation supervisor, I've directed him to do a maintenance analysis on those 5 and all the other vehicles, so that we'll have a very good idea on the amount of monies that have been spent for each of those vehicles, the type of the repair that's been done, and the parts that have been procured to repair those vehicles, so that we can make sure that there won't be any duplication of repairs for the same type of problem. But we're certainly doing a maintenance analysis on all of the vehicles. And that's very, very important, because, you know, we have to make sure that our buses are not only running on the road, but we need to make sure that they're effectively maintained, you know, so that we'll have some consistency and reliability, and of course, safe operations of our transit system.
So the money that you discovered, that you found, the $2 million, is that going to be part of the repairing of those vehicles?
The monies that we're currently using for the repair are monies that are, I believe, came from non-appropriated fund? Part of the funding of those for the repair comes from NAF funds.
Okay, so you're not going to touch the $2 million that we're talking about for the purchase of those vehicles?
No, sir, no.
Okay.
The purchase of the vehicles, the A&E, and the construction of a maintenance facility, these are federal funds that have already been programmed. Those are not going to be touched. They're going to be spent as programmed the way it is right now. And in addition to that, also is the procurement of the one-quote, one-click transportation management system. These are federal funds. These are not local funds.
Okay, but it's going to be used to purchase those vehicles that you needed to satisfy
Yes,
the
sir.
services?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So in your estimate, how many vehicles do you need, like minibus and things like that? How many vehicles do you need to satisfy the services island-wide, based on the numbers of population that are using the mass transit?
Mr. Chairman, I had an opportunity to, review the 2009-2015 transportation plan. And on that plan, it was a plan that was formulated under the leadership of DPW. And they went out and paid a contractor using federal funds, I believe, to put together this plan. And that plan clearly indicates that from the beginning, we need to purchase at least 50 buses. So, to address the transportation needs of our local population, our tourists, and also our military population. What that includes paratransit riders, fixed route riders, and so that's 50 buses is what was indicated on that plan.
In the future, do you think that the 50 buses versus the $2 million that you have, can come out and let's say that, you can purchase those 50 buses with that $2 million?
Mr. Chairman, I can, right now, like I said, we are going to purchase 10 buses. I've already directed my programs manager and my chief planner to for the next fiscal year, using federal funds, we're going to go out and purchase approximately $500,000 worth of buses. So we can continue to augment what we have, We're not going to be able to purchase all of the 50 buses, but we're going to continue to enlarge what we have based on the budget, available budget. And right now, the only funds that we're using are coming from the federal government.
Mr. Bebauta, I was going through the study on your appointment as by the governor of Guam and the lieutenant governor, and I just wanted to be sure that when you go in there, you be supported by the board. Because when I was looking at the rules regarding your appointment,
yes, sir,
you don't need to go through a confirmation hearing. But I'm just kind of leery about, because in order for you to really streamline GRMC or T, the Mass Transit Authority, you need the support of the board.
Yes, sir.
In your honest opinion, do you think that the majority of the board supports you in your managerial job as the manager for the Mass Transit Authority?
Mr. Chairman, I've had an opportunity to meet with the chairman or the chairperson of the board, and I conveyed to her my background, my experience, and what the GRTA team and I have been doing, and I thought I was able to convey to her a good message with the hope that she'll be able to support me in my appointment as the executive manager. I haven't met the other board members because there hasn't been enough quorum to convene a meeting, and the chairperson has not directed me to put together an agenda for at least to have FaceTime with them.
To be candid with you, the thing is, the first thing that I did when you got appointed by the governor is to talk to several of the board members, because they are the working class people that will support you in your endeavor to streamline the operation of the Mass Transit Authority. And it is very important, vitally important, that you get the support of this board. And I will schedule to meet with the board members to ask them, to really support you in all the activities of the Mass Transit Authority. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me ask my colleague here on my immediate right if they want to say something in regards to this hearing.
Okay, I am on
Senator Munya, do you want to speak? Oh, Tello? Oh, Senator Tello?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Mr. Bebauta. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
I was talking with my colleague next to me, we're trying to locate the area in which the property that you're asking for Guam Mass Transit. I have the map here, but it doesn't have any names or locations other than, lot 5109 and R2 and 166. So where exactly is the property?
The property, Senator Taitagbi, is located to the rear of DPW. If you pass the guard shack, if you pass the guard shack and you proceed on, to the left you see two maintenance facilities of DPW. The second maintenance facility behind it is a piece of property, and that's where the future home of GRTA hopefully is going to be at.
Okay, and this property is under the inventory of Chamorro Land Trust?
No, ma'am. It's under the inventory of Government of Guam. Right. And for your information, GRTA had already paid for the survey of the property. They've done an MOU with Department of Land Management to make sure that there's a clear understanding of where the property is and the surveying and all of that. So really the last act that needs to be accomplished is with the passage of this legislation.
Okay, so the property is under Government of Guam, meaning DPW or?
Meaning that it's under the inventory. It's under the
inventory
inventory of the Department of Land Management, not the Chamorro Land Trust.
Where do you currently have your vehicles repaired?
Right now, it's we have a maintenance contract with Atkins Kroll.
So you haven't, okay. And I'm pretty sure you did a cost analysis with regards to how much it costs to have them repaired at Atkins Kroll versus if you had a maintenance shop and did it yourself. I'm sure the cost is substantially lower.
I can assure you that my team and I have been discussing a cost analysis between that of the private sector and us, you know. And hopefully it's not only, of course, the cost is very important, but also we want to make sure that we have some leadership and management ability to control, you know, the maintenance and the operations of the transit agency.
Well, I'm looking
because when, of course, when all of these are contracted out, we are obligated to make sure that the contractual agreement, you know, is properly adhered to. But you know, we're not actually right there looking at what's going on because we're away from where the bus operations and the maintenance is located. But hopefully with the construction of a maintenance facility that will entail an administration building, a maintenance and an operations part of that building and a training area, that, you know, we'll be able to have a close watch of the operations and maintenance of the transit agency.
Thank you for that. I'm sure it's so much easier to be hands-on when you're operating something like this and to see what's going on. But it's also very helpful for your case on this bill to also show us the numbers, that how important it is, not only on being hands-on, which is, you know, probably number one, but number two, the cost that is associated with being able to maintain your own maintenance building and do your repairs right under your on your office instead of a private sector. As well as, please make sure, and this is always the case, that when you're estimating the cost of building a building, that you're forgetting to incorporate the maintenance cost of that building. So this maintenance building should have also incorporated an amount for maintaining the building and the structure. Okay, and
Senator, thank you for that comment. You know, in all honesty, I spent almost 21 years in the United States Air Force, active duty. And one of my jobs, of course, I had several different jobs. One of my jobs is I was the mechanical superintendent at Anderson Air Force Base. I was in charge of all of the maintenance and upkeep of the fuel systems on the flight line and throughout the base, all the air conditioning systems, alarms and controls, and the heating systems. And same as I was over the mechanical manager at Ramstein Air Base in Germany. And definitely the big reason why the Air Force has always been very strong in its ability to accomplish its mission is to make sure that whatever we have is properly maintained. So I can assure you that, that in the event that we're able to build this facility, that part of that budget will be to maintain that facility. Because we got to make sure that we don't wait until the building is dilapidated before we think about maintenance, because it's much more expensive.
right.
to do major repairs than to continue to do continuous preventive maintenance.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Babauta, and I have a total confidence in your ability to make Guam Mass Transit a great transit where people we can be proud of, and good luck in your endeavor.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just want to add that we have completed the memorandum of understanding regarding the property, and the survey has already been completed. Mr. Babauta, dankulu konfiansaku para hago. Sana komentasid gua ches biay di komentasid gifisinao za malago zo na bay na siguro na kumalamtin mauli ki Mass Transit Authority. For English, with your leadership, I am very confident that we can come out with and kind of resolve, solidify the obstacles that have been plagued on the Mass Transit Authority. Pasizigi no donkru konfensako ne komentasit. Todo experience mo ni ezgi mas titsotumo gian estavogi militar. Ezgi mas titsotumo you are an administrator of transportation. Pasizigi na donkru konfensako na leliko jane komentasit fine no faisino kom man afamuli kemzo jani board members ezgi sina mas muna kalamte ni imenalago mo ni puna siguro. Nakabalis isit bisyo ginini Mass Transit per tauta. Thank you. I call on Senator Munya.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Half a day, Mr. Babauta.
Half a day, Senator.
So I just had a couple of questions. I know that, or maybe just one question, but I know that in the past, a lot of the other managers had some issues of not having a home to call their own, you know, at the Regional Transit Authority. So I'm actually looking forward to more positive things coming from the authority, but I'm just concerned, is $200,000 enough? It just doesn't seem like it'd be enough to build a facility.
Senator, the $237,000 is for architecture and engineering design.
Oh, just for the design.
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
So once that's accomplished, we have $1 million, and we're going to lobby for another $500,000.
Okay.
For the construction of the facility. So for the construction part of the whole thing, it'd be about $1.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 200 is just basically for the
architecture and engineering
okay.
design. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the chairman said, that there's no shortage of issues that the Transit Authority has, and so hopefully this would be a step in the more right and positive direction. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to call on the next speaker. Senator Mars, do you have anything?
Oh, man.
She's loaded.
Buenas and half a day, Mananasitus. So it's good to hear that you're moving forward. We all want an improved mass transit. It's important to the quality of life and the livelihood of so many people, and helps make our economy run. With the transfer, so it does look like the MOU is in place. When it says revert back, and sorry if I missed it, when it says revert back to CLTC, can you explain that or expand on that?
Did you say COTC?
Right. In the bill, it said that if it's not developed, it will revert back to the inventory of the Chamorro Land Trust. Are you familiar with that part of the?
The property, Senator Marsh, is it belongs to. It's not part of the Chamorro Land Trust, but on the other hand, we're really focused. We're diligent in making sure that when this bill is passed and the governor signs it and makes it law, we're ready to move on the A&E design for the facility. And like I said before, we we have $1 million that, with hopefully an additional $500,000, to build the facility. So we're really, I don't believe 3 years will lapse and nothing will happen. Not under my watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also want to express support for all of the federal funds that have been garnered. I think that's a very good for us as a community. I just want to point out in your testimony, so I realize it's not really in the bill, but just in your testimony, I do like finding comparable situations. I think a lot of times it can be very productive in looking at comparable situations to see how it applies to us, or it can potentially apply to us. But I just want to point out in comparing us to Hawaii, that, and Maui specifically, the population itself might be comparable, but just in looking at Hawaii's economy, and I wasn't able to find it more specifically for Maui, but that their GDP for Hawaii annually is $61.5 billion. So I definitely am supporting, continuing to support the Guam Mass Transit, but I just wanted to point that out, that the $9 million that they put towards their mass transit perhaps isn't the strongest comparison to our $3 million here, because their economy runs so differently. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
Thank you for the comment. But as Mr. Chairman had mentioned, and I can see based on the literature that I've read and information that I've been availed to, when we have a good mass transit system, I firmly believe that we have more people working. And when more people are working, there will be more taxes going into the coffers of the government of Guam. And in addition to that, our track record with regards to using federal funds, at least from GRTA's site, is not the best. But we're hoping that once we begin to effectively utilize these federal funds, that I think we can go back to the federal government and ask for more. And I say that with all sincerity because there's a military buildup that's currently ongoing right now. And when that target population begins to transfer into Guam, there's going to be a big need for a good transit system to support not only our local population, but also the military population. So I think once we establish a good track record in effectively utilizing federal funds, we can go back to the federal government, for the Federal Transit Administration, and and ask them for more to support not only our local folks, but also our military population. But I understand where you're coming from, man.
Right.
I clearly understand.
Right. But looking for federal funds to help us continue to improve, I definitely support that. I think that that's a strong move. Mm-hmm. I know that places like Hawaii have gotten a lot of federal support for improving their transportation systems. So I do applaud you and the authority for continuing to look at what grants we can avail ourselves of.
Thank you.
Suggest Masi.
Jose, Senator Jose San Agustin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Babauta, we're here about the bill about the property. I like your testimony about budget, but I would ask you to please save it for when we do the budget hearing.
Yes, sir.
Because a lot of things you're mentioning, I have a lot of questions for it. And I don't want to wait, I want to keep the time specific. It's about the property. Thank you for telling us where it's at. Because what you provided was a lot of shortfalls. Senator Taylor was trying to figure out where it's at. I looked at it, and I'm used to looking at maps. I got lost on the map. I like your PowerPoint. Bring it when we do the budget.
All right, sir, I'll do that.
Because, there was one bill that kind of like didn't make it through, Senator Moylan brought up about taking money from the highway fund. And I know for a fact that the mass transit can be a revenue generating agency. Don't ask from the government of Guam when you can generate money, okay? And save it for the budget, and then we'll move on. But I will support giving you the property so you can build, because you have money already.
Yes, sir.
And just do what you need to do. Then we'll talk about money when it comes to money.
Yes,
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Again, I want you all to know that without the support of this noble body, there's no way that GRTA will move forward. So I'll do whatever it takes to work with this legislature to make things happen for GRTA and the people of Guam.
Antes dia matuto ni budget hearing parago taali na do sa gobing kintusis this ni dota. Anyway, next speaker is Jim Moylan, Senator Jim Moylan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Babauta, thank you for your presentation. I'm happy that we're moving forward, getting you the land that it's much needed for the maintenance and your office facilities. That's a great thing. We can utilize the federal funds and we get this property to you. Definitely want to do that. I also wanted to ensure that one part of this bill, it says we had to have the property developed and functioning as the maintenance facility in the office within 3 years. So I'm hoping you have no problem with that and you can get it knocked down. Of course, you know, Mother Nature permits, there's no storms and everything, that timeline is achievable for you. So wish you the best. I'm looking forward to this getting kicked off and breaking ground. Thank you so
Senator
much.
Moylan.
Thank you very much. You know, I received 2 sheets of signing. So we're going to go with the first one. Do we have Pilar Caballero to testify? So we can waive that, right, for now? And we have Mayor Rudy Matanani to testify. My favorite mayor, like?
You liar. Good morning and half a day, honorable mayors, Speaker Pedo Terlaje. I just want you guys to know that I wasn't prepared to testify here, but let me tell you, when it has something to do with my residents, I will jump up. But I also got support from the mayors. I've been questioning them about how the services are with mass transit. And I don't know about Mr. Babauta, but I know that the services need to be improved. I have my residents, you know, waiting sometimes for, and it's supposed to be every hour, but they're waiting sometimes for 2-3 hours for the bus to come. And I've also got concerns about the mass transit not having bus stops. And I don't know if they've had an agreement with Department of Education to use the children's bus stop. I really don't think that there's any problem with that, just as long as there's no illegal operation in the bus stops, because as we know, the kids own the bus stops. And I'm here prepared to support whatever makes the operations of the Mass Transit Authority better than what it is now. And I support the bill that would give Mr. Babauta and the Mass Transit Authority a new property so they can build what they need to build. That's one way of getting the services up to the residents improved. So that's all I have to say, and thank you very much. Joseph Augustine, I'm here to answer any questions, and I hope I can.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Like I said, you're my favorite. So the next mayor that's going to come out is also going to be my favorite. Anyway, one thing that I just wanted to impart on here is, you know, I'm pretty sure that Mr. Babauta already set the location on centralizing, you know, some of the bus stop, and you mentioned something about, because I've gone around and saw that there's no designated area actually, other than just people being used to go to that going to that location and being picked up by the bus. So if anything, maybe the mayors can support Mr. Babauta in designating certain areas, because that's the only way that you can account on the numbers of buses that is needed for that location. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, mayors, for being here.
Can I just comment on what you just said? I just want you to know that I do support the mass transit, but maybe the mass transit should have rules and regulations with people that are riding the bus, because they use my front. It's a small, part of the office, but they have to know that it don't belong to them. It belongs to the people of Jigo, and they have to clean it up or don't trash it. That's very important, sir. And I'm pretty sure that if they do it in Jigo, they do it in the other villages. I support anything that has to do with helping my residents and everyone, but we have to work together. And if you disseminate all these informations that you're getting from the villages, from the mayors, I think that things will shape up. So I thank you for what you're doing, and I'm pretty sure that the governor will not take back his support from you, because when she says something, she means it. And you working for the Air Force is one of the best military installations there is, because I retired from there. Thank you very much.
This is Masi, Mayor. Anybody else that want to present some kind of supporting statement for the group here? Okay, with that, this hearing is actually ended. And Mayor, Mr. Babauta, let me just say that you got all my support, and please just relay some of the things that you need to my office, and especially the budget, because we need to get Senator San Agustin to really analyze that budget, because I know that you need additional money, a large amount of additional money, because your operation is not easy, and that has been a problem agency since I don't know when. So you got all my support, and I'm pretty sure that you got the support of my colleagues here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senators.
This hearing is now adjourned for this for bill number 4235. Thank you very much. Oh, just a minute, because I think, Mayor, oh, that's okay. It's okay. It's just that I got so many signing sheets here. So. Okay, so now let me just say that the Committee on Bill 2935 COR, an act to amend and reenact 6462 Article 2, Chapter 64, Title 9, Guam Code annotated, relative to authorizing the Mayor's Council of Guam to establish rules and regulations related to the game of chance at fairs. So first off, for the group here, I want to recognize again for this particular bill that is going to be heard right now. To my immediate left, Senator Mars Taitano and Senator Joe San Agustin and Senator Jim Moylan, who will be speaking on behalf of the bill because he is the main sponsor of this bill. And also Senator Munya and Senator Taitano. Okay, so for those that are going to testify on behalf of this particular bill, please come up to the front. I was just joking when I said Taitano. Okay, the first on the list is Ken Leon Guerrero. Go ahead, Ken.
I'm Ken Leon Guerrero, spokesperson for Guam Citizens for Public Accountability, and I have a few points I would like to make about this bill. Currently on this island, gambling is illegal. And this bill clearly recognizes it when it says the intent of this legislation is not to authorize gambling, but rather to provide the Mayor's Council of Guam the opportunity to justify and establish rules and regulations. So basically what we're setting up here is official misconduct. We are directing officials of the government of Guam to expend money and resources on an illegal activity. This is the coward's way. If you're going to push for casino gambling or any type of gambling, you should introduce a bill that makes gambling legal. And then if that bill passes, then you can authorize the Mayor's Council of Guam to establish rules and regulations. But in my opinion, asking the Mayor's Council of Guam to create the rules and regulations on a billion-dollar cash business that is prone to corruption is a prescription for failure. It would be like asking a transmission mechanic to perform brain surgery on a small child. And the success for both options, I think, are not good for the people of Guam. The second thing about this is this bill claims that the whole justification for this bill has been to raise money to do a better Liberation Day. Well, this bill fails to recognize that the society has changed and people no longer go to carnivals. All across the United States, attendance at carnivals, fairs, state fairs, even places like Disneyland and Epcot Center, attendance is falling, forcing them to recreate themselves. So the whole idea of having the Mayor's Council of Guam engage in an illegal activity to write the rules and regulations for an illegal activity to raise funds is ludicrous. But considering how fast Bill 30 passed and the amount of scrutiny this body put behind the financial implications of Bill 30, I'm not surprised. Bill 30 has now created a financial hole in our healthcare system that could see Guam Memorial Hospital fall apart. So following this bill, why don't we introduce a bill giving the Mayor's Council of Guam the authority to create rules and regulations for prostitution? It's another illegal activity, just like gambling. We could raise a lot of money through prostitution. All we have to do is look at the Wild Orchid case and all the massage parlors down in Tumon. We know there's a market. We know there's a demand. We could have the Mayor's Council of Guam create the rules and regulations, and we can say we're doing it for the hospital. Just recently in the news today, we heard that the government of Guam owes $1.7 billion to the retirement fund. We have a $100 billion deficit. The Department of Education came here the other day and asked for $100 million more than they got last year. So government of Guam is not getting smaller, and the departments and agencies aren't asking for less money. So maybe what we should do is have the Mayor's Council of Guam write the rules and regulations for the distribution of meth. We know there's a big demand for it. We'll know we'll raise a lot of money, and then we'll solve all the problems of Department of Education, and we can say we're doing it for the children. If we're going to pursue this line of activity, you need to be politically bold about it and do it right. Don't do it behind the skirts of the mayors and say that the mayors made you do it. Introduce a bill to legalize gambling and then take the political risk of introducing that bill. If it passes, then authorize the creation of rules and regulations. But to do it backwards like this is like we're trying to sneak it in under the door, and based on Bill 30's passage, there's no doubt in my mind that if the mayors came to you with a set of rules and regulations, no matter how flimsy, this body will pass it, and the people of Guam will suffer the consequences. So if the intent of this bill was to return traditional casino games to Liberation Day Carnival, it should have said return traditional games of chance, traditional carnival games of chance, and list them. You know, pay red, bottle knockdown, ring toss, claw grab. But the way this bill is written, we're looking at 21 casinos, one in every village, running 24 hours a day with full casino operations, because there's no limits on this bill. This is a blank check for some casino operator to come here and set up a casino, and that's the way this bill is written. So do the people of Guam a favor. Do your homework. Do the hard work. If you're going to introduce casino gambling, put it in a separate bill. If you're going to return games of chance to the casino, be very specific about what games of chance we want to return to the casino, when those games of chance will be to the carnival, when those games of chance will be authorized. Because the way this bill is written now, everything's on the table 24/7. And the people in charge are going to be the Mayor's Council of Guam. That does not bode well for the people of Guam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leongero. Before I continue with the testimony here, I just want to call on Jim Moylan, the main sponsor of the bill, to give us an overhead of just the intent of this particular bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After you introduce the amendment and what articles it affects in the law, again, just a highlight of what the Bill 2935 is discussing. It recognizes the concerns that the Mayor's Council has shared in relation to Public Law 3415, which ended the games of chance at fairs, and specifically the loss of revenue from such gaming that benefits village projects. Some of the causeries that led to the passage of that public law related to the concerns associated with having rules in place, and even a plan identifying how the games are procured, managed, and funds dispersed. The intent of the legislation is not to authorize gambling, but rather to provide the Mayor's Council the opportunity to justify and establish the regulations for review to determine whether limited games of chance can once again be authorized at the Guam Islands Fair, Liberation Day Carnival, and other fair or carnival that the governor has issued a proclamation for. Our annual Liberation Day festivities are a critical aspect of the island's history, representation, image, and by many means, its culture. Unfortunately, funding is required to assure the event is a success, and the bids for the games of chance have resulted in monies to manage the month-long festivities without seeking public appropriations. This year, the Mayor's Council will be tasked with hosting the 75th Liberation Day festivities. And with the government funding shortages, it's paramount that the games of chance be added to assure that the event remains a historical success. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator Moylan. Going to the signing seat here, the next speaker will be William Perez. Yeah, I know, but just call him up. Are you here to testify? I got you as supporting yes or no already, but if you have anything to present, or you're okay with this? Oh, okay, that's fine. Garland Scrop or Garland? Go ahead, sir.
Buenos dias, Hafade, Situs Mase, for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. My name is Gerhard Schwab. I'm teaching at the University of Guam in the Department of Social Work, and I live in Talofofo. I strongly want to oppose this bill because I think it's not a very good bill. And I have several similar arguments, because when I think back about when the Liberation Day Carnival was a thriving event, the environment was very different. And there was a very good fit between the activity and the program and the environment. But at that time, I mean, many of us will remember, we didn't have phones, there was no internet, no mobile phones. People had different lifestyles. So the environment is changing, and program and organizations have to change or they die. And what happened with the Liberation Day Carnival, from my view, is there was a mission drift. It changed its functions, and it got already hijacked by groups who promoted gambling and casino and creamed the carnival already. So I was very glad when the community of Guam put a stop on it a couple of years ago. And especially I say that because for me, it's an issue of respeto, right? Of respect. Because when I think about the people who died at the liberation of Guam, I mean, if they would see that their name of liberation is used and has been hijacked by casino promoting, gambling promoting groups, kind of undercover operations, as you said, kind of it hurts my ethical standards. So, and the bill is really opening the doors, because it says, right, any carnival, any fair that the governor puts a proclamation out. So this bill is just going to create so much headache and so much problem, because for something that is being abused, right? The Liberation Day Carnival, I personally think those times are over, and it shouldn't be used for gambling purposes and disrespecting the death of the people who died for the liberation. Yeah, I think we can do much better than that. But this bill will create a lot of problems. And I think there's no problem with it. We can celebrate Liberation Day in other ways and better ways. What does liberation mean today? And let's celebrate, come up with something better. But let's not let other groups use Liberation Day for making money in the name of a very honorable event.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schwab. The next person in line, Jackie Marathi.
Hafaday, kind Senator. My name is Jackie Ariola Marathi, and I appear before all of you in my capacity as a private citizen. I have a set of prepared remarks that I was ready to deliver, but I think in the interest of a different way of looking at how we're supporting not gambling for our people, but really for our community, it's really important that I speak before you about why I'm here and why we're all here. As many of you know, my late mother championed anti-gambling causes, many times with her life at risk. I too have championed those causes beginning in 2004 for the last 15 years, and in some cases with my life and the life of my children at risk. I have been made fun of, I have been vilified, and I have been sued because I have come out and spoken against interests that run counter to the interests that my mother, my family, and many of our supporters have spoken about. I could have spoken about this bill and talked about how the rationale for it came about, which I disagree with completely. 2 years ago, I was here. 2 years ago, when the courageous Senator Nelson came out with her bill, there was a public outcry about the year-round casino that was going on in Tidzen. Like what the bill is proposing, there were month-long fiestas, month-long casinos, and month-long fairs that allowed for a continuous going on of that casino. That was the start of it. What also happened at the same time was that a nonprofit was given the casino permit, and that nonprofit was controlled by the mayor's council. After we appeared before the legislature, a building was constructed in the Paseo on public land that was given a casino permit, and it was at a cost of $35,000. This was being built as the bill 2 years ago was being discussed. 2 illegal construction workers were found on the site. The bill passed, as you know, unanimously. We were here. Mrs. Untalan and I sat together as all 15 senators voted for Senator Nelson's bill. It ultimately lapsed into law. The credibility of the mayors was very much at risk because of all the lack of accountability that was occurring during these casino events. But that wasn't the end of it. In June, then Senator Mike Sinicolas came out with an oversight on the mayors, which also led to there being great questions about their credibility. It was discovered that they had exceeded their travel budget with numerous trips to the Philippines, including the infamous Strawberry Festival. And so I do object to the rationale for the bill, which was there was a lack of rules and regulations. That was not the situation 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the issue was about credibility. There are a couple of other things that are majorly flawed with this bill. Number one, it includes not only the carnival, but it also includes other fairs. Number two, the mayors are given 60 days to come up with rules. 60 days. They're supposed to submit those rules to you, and then within 30 days, you are supposed to act on it. However, if you don't act on it, it automatically lapses into law. Is that the role of the mayors, or is that your role? Are you abrogating and abdicating your responsibility as lawmakers to allow rules to lapse into law without your potential input? As I said, the law is largely flawed. I'm also here before you as we bury the mother of one of your sisters here. I'm also here before you because my brother is fighting for his health. And he was very instrumental in building the building that this hearing is being held at. We are all here not to get divided by this issue. Every time gambling comes along, this community is divided to no end. We fight, we sue each other, we try to quiet each other. And I'll tell you, for many years I have worked directly with these mayors. They're hard workers, they're good people. There is one reason why we're all here. There's one reason why you're here, and there's a reason why we're here. It's because of love. We love our island, and we want it to be better. We love our people, we think we can do better, and we know that what we can offer them is something good. Your purpose, senators, is something you need to be very, very clear about. Your purpose is to present laws and bills that benefit all and harm none. As you are looking at this bill, can you honestly say that no harm will come to anyone if this bill passes? I ask you to look into your hearts and look into your souls and look into what your purpose is. Your purpose is to do better for us. We elected you based on change. We elected you based on hope. Don't disappoint us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jackie. We have other testimony that is set to give their testimony this morning. If you will, please, Mayor Melissa Savares, Rudy Matanani, Rudy Paco, Frankie Salas, Dale Alvarez, and Mayor McDonald. Please come up. Go ahead, Mayor McDonald, we can come up. Angel Sablan and the Mayor Peter or Asen? Huh? Mr. Dale Alvarez? I just want to ask your indulgence also because there's just so many that are scheduled for to present their testimony, so maybe we can maybe just go ahead and do a 5 minutes presentation, if you will. Just have one speaker. And if you decide that maybe you can go a little bit more than 5 minutes, then that's okay. But there's just so many that that are scheduled to testify. Okay, let's go ahead and start with Melissa. You're on the list, first on the list. So go ahead, Mayor Savares.
Good morning, Chairman Terlaje and Senators. My name is Melissa Savares. I'm the President of the Mayor's Council of Guam and the Deputy Mayor. I'm in support of Bill 29-35. However, there are some things that we want to address on the rules and regulations will not be strictly created by the Mayor's Council of Guam. We would work with the Department of Revenue and Taxation, representatives from the Attorney General's Office, the OPA, Office of Public Accountability, and any citizens that want to be a part of the support that will develop the rules and regulations. The Mayor's Council will have a representative as well. The rules and regulations should actually come through the Department of Revenue and Taxation or through a gaming commission. We do not set up rules for games of chance. That's not our position for the mayors. So, you know, that's something that we need to develop with the Department of Revenue and Taxation. Okay, and then, like I mentioned, to have the Attorney General have a representative in the Office of OPA. Earlier, it was said that gambling is illegal here on Guam. However, we still have game rooms in our neighborhoods. We still have bingo every day of the week in different places. And in many of our neighborhoods, on a Friday afternoon, you can tell which households are going to have gaming, whether it be Texas Hold'em played in somebody's home for the entire weekend, and those things are not regulated. So by developing a gaming commission, which Rev and Tax should have put together and have members sit on that commission, that commission can actually help regulate rules and regulations for all sorts of gaming so that taxes can get paid and organizations can apply for permits. Therefore, like I said, I want to assure that if rules and regulations are going to be done, it's not done strictly with the Mayor's Council. This event that we're requesting for Games of Chance is strictly for Liberation festivities, which is a 60-day operation. It opens at 6 p.m. and closes at midnight and does not run 24/7. It will start the end of May or first week of June and end at Liberation time. So 60 days operation. It will not go further. It will not happen during village fiestas. We are just asking for the Liberation festivities. Open air, it's out in the open where it can be seen. The operators will have to apply, if permitted, they will have to apply for their permits and licenses through the Department of Revenue and Taxation. The only thing that the Mayor's Council will get is the initial bid money, if approved. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Soares. Going down on the line here, Rudy Matanani, the mayor of Jigo, my favorite mayor line. That okay, Pat?
I love you too, bud. Anyways, when we gather for things like this, I always appreciate what, people say. And I want to just assure Miss Ariola that I have a lot of respect for her, and she means right. And at saying that, she was saying that the senators are probably the last ones that would make decisions in whatever anyone, for that matter, makes decisions of. We probably will be in charge of drafting, and we are going to be in charge of drafting, rules and regulations on certain gambling that we want and that we think can oppose people to the carnivals. And when I say people, I say like parents. A lot of parents don't want to escort their kids to places like this. But then when they see things like color me red or things like that, or maybe even bingo, will kind of they will say, maybe I'll just take you there and just take a look at what's happening with bingo or whatever any parent kind of like to mess around with, not to gamble, just to kill time. And I know that happens a lot with carnivals. And what Mayor Melissa said about pointing fingers about the mayors doing things like what we're trying to do here. Well, what are we all doing about bingo? Isn't bingo gambling? It's a different way of gambling. And yes, it does hurt people. It hurts parents. It hurts brothers and sisters that don't know how to make decisions on when to stop. But let me tell you the things that we're asking for that's going to pull, I think, people to the carnival is not casino gambling. And that's not what I'm for here. What we want to address actually is what we need to get the carnival support, to support the carnival. And it has nothing to do with, and I hope it has nothing to do with hurting anyone for that matter. I just want to try to make things happen here in the best way that we can without hurting anybody. And I look to the senators because I think that you will be the last stop that whatever we do is going to go to. So if you think that something that we say and what we do with this thing about the carnival, please don't hesitate to stop, because you're the ones that are going to be, looked at. Even us that we're not trying to do anything are being chastised. Let alone you guys that are, you honorable senators that are going to be making the final decisions in how this bill is worked on. And my final word here is I don't want to hurt anybody. Let me tell you, I'm a grandfather, and I've got a lot of grandkids and kids and nephews and nieces, and there's no intention about hurting anybody here. And if I make a mistake, because everybody makes mistakes, please don't hesitate to call on me so I can think twice on what I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Matanani. Before we continue, I want to recognize our good senator, Senator Amanda Shelton. You have anything, Amanda? Well, maybe we'll just wait for... I want to call on Angel Sablan, the executive director. You want whichever. You want Mayor McDonald to, or you want to go first?
Mr. Chairman, I'll yield to my bosses and let them speak first.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Mayor McDonald.
Well, I'm Mayor McDonald. I'm Mayor of Agana Heights, and I'm here to testify in favor of the bill because, let's face it, life is a gamble. And it's just the magnitude of how do you go about gambling. But going back in history, at one time the church allowed gambling to build the churches today. And, like I said, life is a gamble. And it's just for the individuals to come out and know what your limit. And if you like gambling, then you can gamble. If you don't like gambling, then stay away from it. And apparently, for the last 2 years that we've had the Liberation festivities, when gambling was discontinued, it went from a lot of people coming to the festivities to basically zero at the weekdays. The weekends, from 100%, let's say 100% to 20%. That's the difference of the attendance. And to go back to consider the situation of the government finance, for us to accept 500,000 from the GVB, I don't think it's right. This bill is intended to invite these people to come back, whether you're going to gamble or not. And it's just not gambling that happens in the festivities, especially for liberation. It's for people to enjoy themselves. And again, people that have been gambling in these, the liberation is maybe 5%, 10% at the most local. The rest of the people gambling is from off island. They're not local. Majority of them. So going back to families coming out and gambling, we can control that. We can control that. And then going back, talking about rules. We're not reinventing the wheel. There is rules. When we bid out the games of chance to the vendors or to the nonprofit groups that benefit from these gambling, different gambling games, they would have to apply, the vendors would have to apply for license from revenue and tax. And the mayor's council does not run these gambling outfits or games of chance. We actually bid it out and let these vendors apply themselves. So going back to Ms. Maradi's statement about the mayor's council not being transparent, that is not true. We have the auditor's report, as a matter of fact, that we've turned into the committee last on that hearing that we've had last month. But the opponents that come in and testify are misleading people. You know, it hurts me because I'm part of the Mayor's Council of Guam. We did submit a transparent report every year that we ran the carnival and liberation. As a matter of fact, we've actually testified over and over again that since the Mayor's Council took over liberation, there was never been such a transparent group that have turned in the reports year after year since we've took over Carnival and Liberation. And we've had our records, and we've kept all that records. And if anybody wants to look at our records, then please request from the Mayor's Council office, because it's there. You know, and please, for anybody that is in oppose of this gambling, the Mayor's Council of Guam is very transparent, and we keep our records. And again, I am here in support of this bill, and please, the Mayor's Council of Guam is a good organization, a good agency, and we're just here to make sure that the 75th Liberation festivities would be successful, and that we remember our liberators, our war survivors, and there is no disrespect of the people that have or survivors and the people that have defended our island all these years because of gambling. Gambling is, life is a whole gamble in itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. You're also one of my favorite. And the next in line that is scheduled on the listing here is Angel Sablan, the Executive Director of the Mayor's Council of Guam. Go ahead.
I know I'm listed there, Mr. Chairman, but the mayors are asking if they can speak before me, so there's Mayor Alvarez would like to say. Yeah.
If you want to yield to them,
Yes,
go ahead.
yes.
Whoever, maybe Mayor Dell can go ahead, and we'll just go down the line like this. Right? Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Senators. I am Dale Alvarez, Mayor of Santa Rita. I'm in favor. I'm here to testify. Well, I wasn't going to testify, so support, but listening to the people that are against it and listening to my colleagues, they said most of it. I am a gambler, but you would never see me in a casino. You would never see me in this game rooms down here. Not once did I ever enter there. Why? I know better. I gamble on like sports, cockfighting. I even bet on World Series and things like that. But I just want to testify that this bill, I'm for it due to the fact that last 3 years, we ran the carnival without the pay red. We even told them that we don't need the casino. We just want these little games of game of chance. That's 5 games where Mr. Leon Guerrero claimed is 501 in Las Vegas. We are not in Las Vegas. This is just for the community. Last 2 years ago, we even had this Mayor Day. Today is Santa Rita, tomorrow's Agate. We tried. We paid for bands. I even went out to get magicians so we can bring the kids. I advertised. I went around my village. You know what they say? I went there last night, 2 nights ago, and it's dead. Oh, if I want to eat, I'll go down there. But I want my kids to enjoy the rides, and while they're riding, I want to put a quarter in that pay red just to not be bored. We're not here to make a killing. Like what Mr. Sablan said, if you don't go casino, that's fine. But give us the game of chance of 5 games. Pay red, beto, ring toss, fishing pole, we pick up a prize. That's considered gambling. Yes, I agree with this. I mean, I don't agree with these real big bingos that are happening downtown that come down and give away $10,000. No. I went there once just to see how it operates because I have a fundraising bingo in my village. And I fundraise bingo for my NAF because the government keeps taking our budget. But I'm here just to protect the carnival for the kids, not to get rich. And it's true, with what we make, we give half of that to the First Lady for her favorite charity. The vendors don't want to come down there anymore because we're not helping them pay for the potty. We're not helping them pay for the power if they don't make enough money. So I'm just here in support of it. And one thing I don't understand, people that are opposing the bill, they come in here, say their piece, then they get up and go. They don't listen to us. That we are not trying to open a Las Vegas out here and have 501 games, as Mr. Leon Guerrero said. We have games down there that we can't even count 10. I think the most we have is 8 that I could remember. I never, not once, the casino opposition, I went in there once to sell raffle tickets so that we can make money for the liberation, for the people of Guam. I'm one senator that's always having a candidate, always mayor, participate one way or the other in the liberation parade. For the people that spend all night, they can enjoy watching floats and whatnot that pass by. But the way they paint us mayors as if we are having the bingo and no accountability. Not once did I ever get a penny from the Mayor's Council of Guam for my participation. So I don't see Mr. Leon around here. If he can give me that 501 game, maybe we can add that in the parade, in the carnival. But I'm not here to have a casino all year round. It's just for year 75th anniversary. That's why I'm in here supporting it. To make it come back. 3 years it's been dead. They said they were going to give it to GVB. They had it last year. The carnival was dead. I don't see these people that are posting, against this gambling game of chance at the carnival to support it. But, I'm just here to support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Alvarez. Amindale. I want to just recognize Senator Amanda Shelton, and she wants to kind of just put out some of the things that she wanted to say about and question the mayors about the bill that we're hearing today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to everyone who came and gave their testimony today. I really appreciate from both sides what you had to say this morning. I have a question for you, Mayor Savares, right? Just to clarify some of your comments. So your recommendation for the bill would be to add revenue and tax and the Attorney General in creating the rules and regulations.
And the OPA.
And the OPA, okay. And then your second recommendation would be to eliminate any other fair and the Guam Island Fair to only make these rules and regulations for the Liberation Day Carnival.
The Liberation Day Carnival is also known as the Guam Island Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't include village fiestas and that. It's strictly, my recommendation was strictly the days that the Guam Island Fair or Liberation festivities occur, and usually 60 days.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Nagatabi menciona una storia, per storia non namko. Jati tsagugo para nila lana sa idamna sta gai namko. Jeleknya ekwa festisya na nakumbalatsi I tisiner manhano papa guida pata dagol 25 centimos ni paratali ko siner man mangana. Ti amamam haniu gani gilutano. Jati jauh na be masangani. Tai manu para be gasta sa lapeo. Pues edgi nai na gaigijo gani pagu sa wekung toridos banda. Wekung toridos banda edgi man malago pa managwahay game of chance. Jati jauh sumangang casino. Casino ambi janggin gaigio Las Vegas edgi casino parmano pa Philippines edgi casino. Este ambi antes edgi batu. I pay rate. Taja instrumento, there's no electrical items there that would qualify as a game of chance. Pues estige na nais tiuju na punto. Sa guay de malago po gaste 25 centimos da pochagis suetena. Pues ita na Mayor's Council za 12 anos di mumiot. Jadi nancha si dia Janging guah aktividad ni patana posible para tanagway vilesta para tasapoti imanhobin para tasapoti manamko talang no si salapeta sa taza salapi gini ni gobernamento. Pes man ujud fundraising jan you check in tori di man bebindi ticket fundraising. Let me just say that's prohibited by the federal government. Lohita mi man samorit man unita gini na tawis. Posta na chance do fragmento sa diti man malago casino jati casino ang busti game of chances ti gandun antes sti siya na tempo. Guahay jini jata na guahay sti Detarikoi di slapi para tasapoti I programata gi viletsta, I programata gi fisinata. Pasadzige na tu ay ti leliko na sentingwa takti na tempo. Guau finerina mo introduce iji casino gaming bill. Because I feel that we need to really just infuse the money into this government. And the only way I know how to really collect the money, the surmounting amount of money is through casino. Lo todo nai makontrazo zongan accepta. Ahi elefuno deo ti doesn't go to game of chance or casino. Go lo kwe. Lo eja malagota I pertanaguari di slapi por sapoti vilesta por sapoti fisionata. The pedi monta na sigya esti programata ni paminaulik para I famagonta dani tautauta. Esti amwe. Esti ambina beauty kamakiling na para 365 days in a year that we're going to have this. Umbiaya. Zongan dinansi si Deo gi 2 anos na tempo ni magoti esti na aktividad ni GVB. Matay ambi. Matay aktividad gi papa. Jay liliko na kumamachulis ti tati jay mumiyan. Mumaneas ti na klase na aktividad. Ililiko naman megesimpi man matutaw-taw. Jonggan magait, gua manahano papa gi carnival. Jati manahalam gi game of chance. Lo gua hai ji manahano papa makoni famagunya. Japuri betisya di adagolum 25-50 centimos po fangano po tsagi setinya. Lo taza po public in estima game of chance. Nobody's going to make millions in this game of chance. And the mayor's council is not going to make millions in this game of chance. And all that we are asking is to support this once a year so that people that wants to go down there and paribetilik fino tomorrow, leisure time, for example, if you know English, they want to go down there and maybe drop a quarter, drop maybe $1 to play there, to have the chance of winning. But nobody's going to get addicted with this. And I know this. Quantum busy? Punhalum, you're not going to spend thousands of dollars. So, Lu, go business money, Dankulu. Thank you very much. So, we're going to start with the testimony here. Maybe we'll go with, is Rudy here? Rudy? Mayor Rudy Paco? Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Senators. I'm Mayor Paco, Rudy Paco from Mongmong Totomaiti. My speech is very simple this morning. I'm in support of this bill. When I first sat in office, they removed the game of chance at the carnival grounds. Each mayor was tasked to hire an entertainer to perform down in the carnival. The carnival was so dead. When it was my turn, I spent $250 out of my pocket to hire a band. And there was only myself, my wife, and a guy named George. So I paid $250 for myself, my wife, and George to watch the band. Ever since they removed the games of chance, the carnival has been so dead. I understand that GVB wants to give the mayor's council $500,000 to run the carnival. Why don't we, as mayors, run the carnival, and the profits that we make, we can use it to celebrate the liberation? And instead of that $500,000 that GVB is going to give the mayors, why don't they give that to GMH or DOE, where they can use that funds? Because without this game of chance or GVB to run the carnival grounds, it's going to be the same thing. Nobody wants to go down. Like what you said, Quanto zu pon postai quarter to see if you can win a little. I was a gambler myself, but it never led me to anything big. I stopped because I told myself I can't get rich in this sport. It never led me into going to a casino or doing other heavy gambling. No. I had a head. I never did make my family hungry, never did miss paying my bills or whatsoever. So give us a chance to run this carnival again. Because that money that we're going to make, the profits that we are going to make, we can utilize it to celebrate this 75th liberation. And give that $500,000 that GVB is going to give the Mayor's Council, maybe to Guam Memorial or DOE, so we can help them out. That's all I have to say. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. I want to call on Frankie Salas, the Mayor of Asen, my favorite mayor. Thank you.
Buenas. Si Frankie Salas, Mayor Asen Maina. Zabi finot tomorrow per nagu. Chair and Senator. Buenas to Sanzu. Anyway, Zao finot tomorrow look at si Senator Chair Terlaje. As I was saying, for the liberation in 1915, na sakyan mi amko starke. But sa gizin na kasin liberation is the carnival. Kanto sa gaga ni man ma display play ni sti fafananan the 4-H club, the Department of Agriculture. Todo kanto sa fafananan the float man kabalis. Todo sa yagunizok. Pumpapara papagan na sakyan tun solda yagunizok sa pura ranu bido man kinanos ta. So anyway, o sa popatistin na bio, pata na mano mo na tana bonito mo na este na celebration, este na liberation. Mungkin magay ni ji sinungalan si Mayor Paco ni ji asasanga po ni ji manggasta po di i program, ezi pafan anazon sila pini po apasi band members, mungkin kontrolo gua dinancha si Mayor Paco. Gi experience ako gi mapus itu mapus na sakyan ezi anay be fanuza si paisi 2 years ago. Ni po mauzi i po manaya ru sa ben lam taza na tauto na gagin na inobia. Jani kartu ground na tauto man ega fino pamalo na milyon na masasanga na dead illegal. Mungkin mga dead sa taza wego, taza fina boka ni zanaga. Lo mungkin mga ni an dead illegal na debi benta na karantinis ti mona sa na benitos din na liberation talaga big game of chance. Na siya o 2 ground o kita expecta mi pa na mega lot na masyeta na mali mo nas na binito na nilalalas na liberation. Na noto talis ti besangan po ti float ne. Ugagasta, manggagasto yi yon pocket money. Pufana mamambok kapala yi manazudzu dagi yi float. Pestalo ti manakso float yi mapun sakan sa puruna resone. Tori Jumami council kalan madisipreba sa peditinang slapi. Taza slapin mami. Pestalo le kapolo za tauzi ki sakyan sa integi ki sonya sakyan ki 2017 integi i float. Logi mapus tu manaksa float lo pago na sakyan o bi panaksa float pa isna sakyan. Sa magfo na bonitos na diskusyon, based na liberation. And like I say, I like to, in English, I always say, I always like to support this bill. And it doesn't matter if it's just a game of chance with food commodities that been around. But we're not looking to a big casino, not to a big casino. We're only asking it for the liberation, and that's the college we're talking about. That's all. Thank you very much. Just Marcy.
Thank you, Primo. Senator Salas. I just want to acknowledge.
Thank you for Senator.
Acknowledge our good mayor from Santa Rita. I want to congratulate Dale for the last so many years you have came out #1 on the float. And I just want to congratulate you because you know what? When I was mayor, and the first float that I built cost me $3,000. And I came 3rd place. Man, I was so happy. They gave me $30. $30 means a lot at that time, right? But it's not easy to build a float, and it's not cheap. So Dale, once again, thank you. At this point in time, I want to call on the director of the Mayor's Council, my favorite director, Angel Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to the members of the committee. When I was here a couple of weeks ago to provide information at the informational hearing, I said at that time what had to be said and to clear the air about misconceptions about millions of dollars being made by the Mayor's Council of Guam and no accountability of where it went. Or first point is we never made over millions of dollars. And as far as the accountability, I know that 2 years ago, when then Senator Tilina was asking to provide the information, Mayor Hoffman was working on all that information. Unfortunately, time ran out on him, and the vote came, and there it went. No more games of chance or a casino at the Liberation or the Guam Island Fair. I just want to say here today that in memory of the late Senator Elizabeth Perez Arreola, the Mayor's Council of Guam does not support casino either. The 8 games that are operated, that have been operating for umpteen years at Liberation of the Guam Island Fair are just the card games, which include Texas Hold'em, poker, pasoy, baccarat, Super Six, and a couple games of dice called roulette and craps, Monte, big and small, and the games that everybody refers to as Pay Red, which is the color game, and the over and under. Nobody in their right mind would ever call these number of games a casino. This misconception comes because there's a building built to house the games of cards, but that's what it is, just a house of cards. There's not one electronic game in that building, unlike what is occurring today. The Mayor's Council of Guam, we have admitted it, we do not want to be the ones to come up with the rules and regulations. And we've mentioned this to Senator Moylan. Because we want to be transparent, we want to be open, and we want to be accountable. We want people that are qualified to make these rules and regulations to be the ones to set up these rules and regulations. And that means including the Department of Revenue and Taxation and revenue officers. That means including the legal office from the governor's office and from the AG's office, and perhaps including the Office of Public Accountability. These rules and regs that are going to be established, someone was saying that we've already established it. We have not. We have come up with ideas on how to put it together, but we've not established any rules and regs. Because we want to be we don't want to be presumptuous that this thing will pass and everything is going to be done just like that. This is an opportunity to be able to come up with the rules if there was none before. We wanted to add other things to it as well. You know, why tax it at 4%, which is what it is now, when they go and pay their tax from the Liberation Carnival? Well, tax it like the limited gaming, which is, I believe, is at 12%. And the concern about, well, these card games and whatever, this not an attraction at the carnival because it's supposed to be a family event. Well, put it in the rules and regs that these games, if they're going to have it, put it off-site, at a hotel, in a ballroom or something. No kids would come in there. It can be controlled. We can tell who's coming in to play. Another requirement we want in these rules and regs is the financial statement. Now, the Mayor's Council of Guam will produce the financial statements within 30 days after the carnival is over, and a financial audit within 120 days after the event is over. And that if it does not happen, there will be no games of chance at the next carnival if these are not followed. We want to be open. We want to be accountable. We want to be transparent. And we don't want a year-long authority to have this thing done. We're looking at 60 days maximum, just during the Guam Island Fair Liberation Day Carnival. No fiestas, no festivals, no January, February, March, April, all those other months, just Liberation months, 60 days. And the only reason why we're asking this is because it takes money to run these events. We have not asked for 1 red cent from the government of Guam to do this ever since the Mayor's Council of Guam took over in 2009. And we're proud to say that we don't owe 1 red cent to anybody after operating these events, unlike previous carnivals before us. We have been audited every single year. And all funds received by the Mayor's Council through their non-appropriated funds has also been audited every single year. The first year that we were audited in 2009, we were painted with the same brush as every other carnival before us. And they said, oh, there were no files, there was no accountability, there was no receipts. And that was true. Because there was none. But since then, there was 1 repository for all of these, and it's been the Mayor's Council of Guam. And every year we have improved. Every year we have done our best. We've published in the newspaper the expenditures, the collections. We've paid our taxes on the Liberation festivities. We've done all that we could. It's going to take, as we have shown, a minimum of $500,000 to do this operation. And that's for 60 days. Remember what you gave, or maybe not you, but previous legislature gave FESPAC to operate a 2-week event. 13 million versus nothing. We don't want the $500,000 from GVB, not because we're not going to use it or not put it to good use, but we believe that there's better uses for it. We talk about putting costs of government on the backs of our people. Well, this is one event that we don't want to put on the backs of our people. Not when there's an opportunity to be able to get vendors to operate during these 60 days and pay for the event. The planning for liberation has started. It's been 3 weeks now into the planning. And there's talk about having fireworks every weekend. There's talk about bringing in off-island entertainers. There's talk about bringing in military bands from not just the Marines now, but the Army and the Navy. These are not free. But we also don't want to ask the people to pay for it. $60 days is all we're asking. 6 card games and 3 other little pay red, over and under, big and small. And the ironic thing is, even if we don't do this for liberation, it's happening. It's happening on a daily basis. Some people say, oh, well, you have bingo and you have cockfighting for liberation. We may have the bingo, but we're in competition with clubs that offer $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 payout. Or little bingo games at the carnival, which is the 70-30, you only will get the most, maybe on a good night when everybody waits on Liberation Day, $5,000 payout. And then the cockfight. Nobody plays cockfight during liberation because it's molting season. So even a vendor for that doesn't really care to participate. I know Senator Telina said that, Angel, this has never been between me and the mayors. And we understand that. And I told her, yes, we know it's not between you and the mayors. All we wanted to happen was to communicate. We were very lucky 2 years ago that we were not sued after the governor already proclaimed an operator for the liberation games a chance. And this is one point I also want to make, that it is not the Mayor's Council of Guam that decides to have games a chance at the carnival. It is really up to the governor of Guam. And we wouldn't do this, come here and testify and support Senator Moylan's bill, if we did not hear personally from both the Magahaga and the Segundo Magalahi that they support games of chance at the carnival. Because if they said no, then we wouldn't go through this exercise in futility to waste everybody's time. But because they are open-minded and say yes, they will support it, so that's why we were willing to give it a chance. But the bottom line is, like I said, if it's not going to be rules and regs that are going to provide it being transparent, open, and accountable, the Mayor's Council of Guam will be the first ones to say we don't want to be a part of it. But I believe that if we engage those regulatory agencies to be the ones to come up with these rules and regs, that everybody can at least compromise and do this event for the people of Guam for 60 days. Not because we want somebody to get addicted to gaming or gambling, because if that's supposed to happen, it should happen now, because there's gaming and gambling now. It's not because we want somebody to have social problems, because it's happening now. How many holdups do we hear about? And robberies in our game rooms. And to that, may I add that we've never had those incidents happen, at least not on the way it's done, where it's happening now, because we provide the security. Bottom line, Mr. Chairman and Senators, is we do not want a casino. We just want to have those games that we've just mentioned. And it's only to pay for the cost of the event. And if we do make money, we do give it to the worthy cause. And like I said, the Foster Children's Home has been a recipient of the funds that we have raised. Guam Memorial Hospital volunteers have been a recipient. Many of our sports teams around the island have been recipients. So we leave it up to you. We hope that we get together with the front office and come up with those rules and regs, provide it to you, give you an opportunity to take a look at it. If it doesn't happen in time for this year's liberation, then it doesn't happen. And if it doesn't happen, then yes, we're going to have to really sit down and look for a funding source. Sure, there'll be corporate sponsors, and sure, there'll be people donating, and sure, there's the raffle. But those are already funds that are going to be spent for, like the parade. The parade is one event that never comes out in the black. It's always in the red. Simply because why would you charge somebody money to come and march in the parade at $100 and then give them a prize at $500? I mean, you're already losing. You charge a float entry $300 and their prize is $1,500. You're already losing. So that's all that it is. We are not, like I said, here to change anything. We are just here to find another opportunity to be able to fund our Liberation Carnival and festivities. And while I'm at it, we need to take a look at that statute that allows for liberation. I'm sure that you are aware that if the Mayor's Council of Guam decides not to do liberation, that any other nonprofit organization can decide to run a liberation carnival on their own. If the liberation festivities is not held in Paseo, any other nonprofit organization can operate their own liberation carnival at another site. Bottom lines, Mr. Chair and Senators, is although these rules and regs may be done and you may pass it, the final authority is still the governor, the Magahaga of Guam, to allow these to happen. We love Guam too. And we won't come here and ask you to give us this chance if we would think it was going to destroy our island. We don't want 21 casinos, and it will never happen with this group of mayors. And talking about Strawberry Festival, Mayor Savares and I just came back from the Strawberry Festival. but it came out of my credit card and her credit card. We paid for our own, simply because we already made a commitment when we did the sister signings with these entities that we would support one another. They were here this year. Just in January. And for us not to come back and pay them that compliment, they came here and they supported our economy. While we take them to breakfast, lunch, and dinner out of our own pockets, the only things out of their mouths after the tour, can you cut the tour short so we can go to Ross or Kmart or the mall? So it's not just a junket. It is a sharing of ideas. Maybe going off on a tangent, but because Mayor Savares has been to that strawberry festival, we are now growing strawberries in Guam at the Amot farm. And so, yes, we may have overspent our budget at that time. But we still find a way to live up to those commitments. And it came out of each of the mayor's pockets. I just hope that this operation of this year's liberation is not going to come out of their pockets again. We're just asking for your help. We're just asking for an opportunity. And if you want to put a sunshine, sunset, whatever you want to call it, clause on this statute, that if you see that it's no longer helping to fund liberation, then remove the whole thing. I know someone earlier said we have to recreate the way we do things. Yes, we have to recreate because we've seen what has happened in the past few years. The governor's office ran it. GVB ran it. Chamorro Village ran it. Did it change anything? No. Because the vendors already knew that if there was nothing there to bring people to come to these events, that they would end up losing their investment. So, Senator Moylan, I thank you for at least coming up with the idea to be able to fund this thing some other way. Unfortunately, the fastest way to fund it is through allowing these games a chance. Because if there was any other way that we could fund liberation, besides taking it out of the taxes that our people pay, then we wouldn't need this. So I hope you find it too in your hearts to trust us, to be able to give you the 75th anniversary of our liberation the best shot that we can. And if we can't, at the end we will tell you that we failed. But we don't want to fail. I think we can all agree to disagree, and we can all compromise and come up with what's best. I don't want to believe that we are so inept that we cannot even come up with our own rules and regulations to be able to do something like this. that we are so dumb that we have to be told that go and do rules for prostitution and do rules for meth. We don't need those kind of insults. We don't need rules and regulations in our offices. And if anybody wants the Mayor's Council of Guam to be the ones to be responsible for everything, they are responsible for everything. Even more responsible than any of you. Because the first people they call are the mayors or the vice mayors. They come to your offices, and what do you tell them? Go see your mayor or your vice mayor. So yes, we get caught up in all kinds of things, are made responsible for all kinds of things. But in all honesty, mayors and the people of Guam, we do it because we love our island, and not because we want to hurt anybody, and not because we want our children to grow up with social ills. If you can find a better way to be able to provide our people a beautiful celebration, then please offer it to us. But if not, let's get together, compromise, and see what we can do to make this event happen. And then, like I said earlier, in the memory of Senator Elizabeth Perez Arreola, let's do what's right for our people. We don't want casino. We just want an opportunity to be able to let these small games support. That's all I ask. Thank you, and Jesus Marcy. And if the bill does pass, and we hope it does, we will work together, hand in hand. And we invite any opponent of the bill to please come and work with us to make it something that can work for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Before closing, I want to recognize the Mayor of Gatna. Thank you, Pari, for Mayor of Gatna, Mayor Agun, for supporting the flag raising for the veterans. Thank you, Lai. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Do you want to? Okay, go ahead. Senator Mars. The Mayor of Zona wants to speak? Senator Mars, do you want to say something?
So, as the other senators have said, I want to thank everybody for coming out. It is really important to hear all sides and all concerns, both for and against. I believe that a lot of times it's important to take the time to do that and before coming to a conclusion and not necessarily coming here with predetermined conclusions. And so I want to thank you for that. I know that some of these presentations really took a lot of time to put together and formulate so that you're making the best case for yourselves as possible. With that being said, there are those, as you've mentioned, that are in our community and they play games of chance in a social way. And so recognizing that there are some in our community who do these things socially. I do want to give my support to Mayor Savarez's recommendations. And I want to go through some recommendations that are along the same lines or some additional ones so that if this bill gets to the floor, it is strengthened, it takes into consideration your concerns and the intentions that I think you are working towards. So, and I'll give you a copy of this. But in section 5205A, there was a portion that was struck out previously, and so we would need to put number 3 back in, that Liberation Day Carnival gaming as authorized in section 64.62, just to make it consistent throughout the bill. Then putting in a new section that deals with the authorization for gambling at the carnival and possession of gambling devices to take care of some of the concerns that were brought up where it's not, it doesn't exist elsewhere, and so if there are going to be certain activities, we would have to put these back in. So part of this would be that section 64.10 of this title does not apply to any gambling conducted by a person who has been issued a permit by the governor for concessions operated during the Liberation Day Carnival. And that section 64.20 of this title does not apply to the possession of any temporarily licensed gambling devices during the Liberation Day Carnival. So again, just kind of putting that in there so everything's in order. And as the mayors, I think, have made very clear, this is not this bill is not meant to be what you're supporting, is not meant to be something that opens the door beyond Liberation Day activities. And so I recommend going ahead and taking out, although the Guam Island Fair is the same name, to just maybe keep it simple at the Liberation Day Carnival, to take out that, or any other fair or carnival that the governor has issued a proclamation for. So I can say from firsthand experience that nearly every day there's a proclamation or several resolutions going on, and I think that this really opens the door to what voters have come out again and again and voted against. So it falls in line with what you're saying, that you're only looking for Liberation Day, and it keeps all of that clear. It doesn't open up the door for anybody to try to use this bill for any other purposes. To keep the language consistent, to take out the term 2 months and put in 60 days. And then I know that these things are time sensitive, but to again fall more in line with a standard time to approve rules and regulations, and also to take into account if anything happens, typhoons, those sort of things that slow us down, to have 60 days to approve the rules and regulations. But I think it's very important here, and it addresses some of the concerns that were brought up, that failure to approve within those 60 days shall deem the rules and regulations disapproved rather than by default. But as Mayor Savarez and Mr. Sablan, the Executive Director, have mentioned, you're looking to having a gaming commission be developing this with professionals who understand what should go into this. So I think that all of those things together just make this more orderly, it makes it understandable, it makes it appropriate. And then with some of the items that that gaming commission if that's the direction that the bill authors go in. Determining how funds will be expended for the Liberation Carnival of festivities, so it takes out that additional language about any other fair. For F, adding in as allowable by law, just so that we're creating conformity with what's already in place. Replacing in G, fairs and carnivals to just strictly what you're looking for, the Liberation Day Carnival. And then just for comprehensiveness, again, to strengthen it so that it's got provisions that make the most sense and make everything strong and in place and in order so that it can be looked at as being strong when people are voting for it. H, I see a need for clarity there on the statement that minors will not be impacted, the way that it's put there with security. So to understand the intent of what that phrase is supposed to be, I asked the authors of the bill to clarify that. And Mayor Savaras mentioned the hours of operation. So I would put that in as an I, that this commission will have a formal schedule that everybody understands is very clear, the hours and days of operation. There are limits. In the past, it's been 6 to 12 p.m. One suggestion I might have is to have it end a little earlier. I don't know how that fits in with things, but perhaps maybe something like 6 to 10, perhaps that would ease a lot of people's minds about, you know, those hours of 11 and 12. And a J, and this gets to some of what Mr. Sablan was mentioning, that commission would identify who is eligible to play, make it really clear so that people can feel comforted that we've worked really hard to get everything in order, and then procedures for ensuring that. If I understood Mayor Savaras correctly, there may be interest in having it be open air only, so that could be an L. Now there are some things that I'd like to suggest. One of them could be, and again, to assure people about the fact that you're working really hard to make this as accountable as possible and as good for the community as possible. I've heard about it in other places. There might be potential for something like having a player card with limits. So I'm not a gambler. I don't know typically how much people would spend in a 60-day period. Yeah. But there could be something like a card issued and then a $250 limit. Like, I don't know if that's fits in with, but the commission would be able to study that, and they
Senator, that would be part of the rules and regulations, a minimum bet and maximum bet. And so that's what the organization, the group would.
So that part is good, the minimum and maximum. I'm not sure that that was in there, but that would be good to have in there. But I'm talking about, these are cards that, that for over the 60-day period, it's kind of like, for lack of a better comparison, like you know,
maybe what you're saying is the day what we do with the raffle tickets, and this is just an example. We have 10,000 books printed, and so that's probably what you're saying is that they have a certain number, and if you exceed that, that they can use for that period, right?
Well, this is a card kind of like a gift certificate, for lack of a better comparison. So you know how sometimes maybe for Christmas or your birthday, you'll get a $100 gift certificate at a restaurant. And so with a card like that, it wouldn't be a debit card or anything, but it would just have the amount that, you know, not wanting to overstress any family or any individual, that it would just be a limit of, during that 60-day period, nobody is going beyond $250 at the carnival or whatever the limit might end up being. I don't think we've done anything like that. Other places have, so it might be something that helps ease the concern of some of the other community members that nobody's going to go out there and spend really excessively. So
As
that
a
might
matter
be
of fact, Senator,
consideration.
we do have it posted, $25 maximum bet.
Right, so this is during the entire 60 days. I'm probably not explaining
Yes.
this very well. Dispense it for not explaining it very well.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it says $25 maximum bet, usually
Right.
on the games.
Yeah, so this means
So-
that in the 60-day period, no individual or no family is spending more than 250 or 350 or whatever the limit would be. And that way, no family in particular is overstressed, which some of the community are worried about.
Senator,
if you know.
most of the people that come, like Angel had mentioned, 20% are locals. The rest are construction workers, these H2 workers. You know, you see Chinese, Filipino H2 workers. The bus brings them like they would bring them to their work site, you know? So it's H2 workers that would come and maybe on a, you know, with the over and under, they can bet up to $50. And it depends on what the maximum bet but I understand where you're saying their
Right.
allowance would be
Kind of,
$2,000
yeah.
for the 60 days, right?
Right, and
so-
really just maybe to help ease some of the concerns that were brought up by others. So it's, you know, it's just a suggestion that it might be worth looking into if you think that it would help ease people's concerns and make it seem more palatable and focus more on the fun part of it that some might get out of it and less on the worry about it might be overstressing.
Yeah, and we can look at that because, you know, you have the locals that come are sometimes empty nesters. Their children and grandchildren have moved on, don't even live here. And they come sometimes $2,000, you know, because that's what they want to spend in gaming. Sometimes they double it, sometimes they triple it. So it depends on what type of game they're playing. So I don't know how we can put that in the rules and regulation because it's their money they're bringing, it's not our money. And like I said, they're empty nesters. Both husband and wife are retired, and this is their excitement or social for the summertime.
Right. So, yeah, just throwing it out there as a possibility, something that the Gaming Commission or the mayors themselves might want to consider. And then, you know, there's been a lot of discussion about the lower numbers over the years, and we've had a lot of wonderful things happen. The festivals for the villages have been wonderful things. I think they bring so much vibrancy to the community. It offers so much for each village, I think, and for the entire island. There's such benefits. But because society has changed, the way we use our time and our expectations have changed, we now have so many festivals that are, in a sense, competing with carnivals and other activities. This might be a really nice time to look at the idea of how some of the activities might have a makeover. Maybe this is something that you do every year already. But I know that there are a lot of young dynamic groups here that are doing these sort of activities when they're fundraising for social causes or they're developing things like the International Festival. You know, there are a lot of people out there that have a lot to offer. And so this might be a way of making the carnival competitive against the festivals so that each have a really distinct identity, and then bolstering the numbers. It could be an opportunity to also strengthen what the Liberation Days and activities are all about, you know, opportunities to help the kids really connect with the Manamco or connect with the deeper meaning of Liberation Day. But there could also be activities, I mean, I don't know how to think of how the makeover would be necessarily, but I know a lot of the youth nowadays, they like opportunities to showcase themselves in YouTube and so forth. So there might be booths that are set up where they could do things like that. That might be real draws for the youth, just things like that. But something where we might use this as an opportunity to bring people back and make it exciting in various ways, and then maybe strengthen that meaning of what the Liberation Day activities are. Something that might also be looked at in the just for the long term, not necessarily this year, but seeing about whether Liberation Day Society or Historical Society, we've had a Historical Society in the past, but I don't think there's an active one now, but where they could be an arm that works with the Mayor's Council and helps you all throughout the year to be raising funds and awareness throughout the year. I mean, that might be nice. And then it has those additional things like really getting the youth to understand and to care about what Liberation Day activities are all about. So I will be passing on for the bill amendments to the author, but for the suggestions, they're just for people to either take or not take, I guess. But, you know, like you, I love our island, I love our history, I only want what's best, and so I think really finding ways to engage the youth and get them excited about this, along with the other things that happen during the Liberation Day activities, could be really good.
And we thank you, Senator, for being open and for offering those suggestions and at least not shutting the door on us to be able to work together. So many of your recommendations are good ideas, and we'll incorporate them.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, I want to call on our good senator to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And good afternoon to the mayors and to you, Director, as well. I'm one of your biggest fans, you know, and I appreciate everything that you do. And I do know you work very hard in your villages. And yes, it is true. You know, when people come to us as senators and they have an issue, it's usually something within the village scenario that needs help. And we do send them to the mayors as well. But we'll try and do our best to do something as well to help ease out the issue. But, you know, it's unfortunate what happened last year, very unfortunate. And I know that you mayors could, this year, not even do anything again. And it doesn't become your responsibility anymore. I mean, you can give it to Adelup one more time. But we saw what happened, and you saw what happened last year. And it's so sad. I grew up all my life going to the Liberation. In fact, when I was, I think, 14, 15 years old, I went and worked at the Liberation, at some of the booths there. I made my summer vacation making some money doing that. There's a lot of things involved with the Liberation Island Day Fair. And by the way, Mayor Savaras, you know, just, we'll probably hash that out in the legislature to make sure, but it is the Island Fair that we have to follow the law. Maybe we can change it, but, so you guys decided, no, we're not gonna have another failed Liberation. And you came up to the plate, and you're now back here and you're trying to find a way. And I don't know if GVB said, yes, here's $500,000. I didn't hear anybody at GVB say, yeah, we're going to give it to you. In fact, I think they would fight against it. I know, I was at GVB. So it's not something that they're going to give. My concern here right now is that I think you, even though the bill is not getting passed, you need to start meeting now with the group, OPA, Rev and Tax, other constituents, and please invite the mayors, the senators as well to sit in on some of your rules and the meetings you're having for rules and regulations, and maybe we can incorporate my good colleague, Senator Taitano's ideas. She has some great ideas. And, but my concern too is when you make these rules and regulations, when you consider this, you have to also consider who's going to come up and bid. So that means the amount of hours that you're open has to be considered, because I don't think anybody's going to come and bid on this package if they're open from 6 to 10 or 6 to 9, or they have to make their money back. And I know these bids are substantial. The amount of money they bid on is very substantial. So they need to find a way to make their money back. I do know that at the front door of your casino, whether it is open or not open, either or, I think that you should consider keeping it, a facility that's safe from the weather and, allow people to be comfortable. And I know that you do put on your door that nobody under the age of 21 is allowed inside. So I appreciate that, that you've done in the past, and I'm sure you're going to put those certain constraints as well in your rules and regs. So that being said, I know that you're going to have to put this out to bid, and it is going to take some time. And so I suggest that it says within, and I do agree that we should change it to 60 days instead of 2 months, but it says you're allowed to bring this draft legislative rules and regs within 2 months. So I'm sure you guys are going to do this in 1 month, as fast as you can, because we're not going to go into session until the end of March if we are going into session. And the event this is passed, then you only have a certain amount of time. You're already looking at April, about a month worth of work, April. Then you come into May, you have to put the bid out in May in order to begin in June. So you need to hurry if you're planning to do this. But please, when you're in that midst of rush, it's important to address some of the concerns you heard today in that rules and regulation. I think I made touched on everything I wanted to touch on, and again, I want to thank you for all you're doing for the people of Guam, and I look forward to working with you as well. Tijus Masi.
Thank you very much, Senator Tello. I just wanted to kind of just go back to Senator Mar's invigorating suggestions. I want to thank you, and I'm pretty sure because when we have this type of activity, game of chance, and I know that because I've been a mayor for 12 years, and we do have procedures and policies that we usually display right in front of that building. And, like 21 years of age and below cannot be accepted in there. So they do have those policies and procedures in place. So with that, is there any other things that you guys want to say? The mayors want to say? My favorite mayor of Zona. I think you're the only favorite mayor of Zona that I have. So you have anything for us?
I'll be really quick. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm the mayor of Zolnia. Speaker, thank you so much. Senator Jesus Masi. Really quick, just listening to Senator Marsh. What's obvious to me, you mentioned earlier that there's the against and the for, and then in your testimony, a lot of data is mentioned in terms of what can we do in fundraising and so forth. And I think that's what's lacking in this entire bill process is data. I've yet to hear impact, information on impact. What will it cost the community if it didn't go through the against? And the people who are, or the body that is against, this bill is where is the data to show that not having the game of chance, mind you, gambling, casino by definition just means a room where people go in and they gamble. That's what casino means. So in that respect, where is the data that shows that casino or gambling to that effect, it has such a big impact that we shouldn't have it at all? And if that is in thought, then why is it that we allow everything else, such as bingo, cockfighting, backyard gambling, and those things still exist to this very day? And we talk about our youth. Well, sure, we have programs and get the youth more involved and get them more excited about the celebration. We're talking about 60 days, a short period really of having this game of chance. I like to call it game of chance. And the effect of it, and there's a lot of history, it goes back 20 plus, 30 plus years, 75 years of it. And today we're trying to change something that really isn't broke. You know, the concept of why change something that's not really broken. It goes back to that. But great ideas in terms of how to enhance it, how to maybe make it better in terms of putting projects out there for you to get involved. I agree with that. And then we have a bunch of, we are all seniors here. All of us here are over 50 years of old and a lot of history in terms of how the carnival, the concept of the carnival word started. And there really isn't a big change. And my biggest thing is, what is the impact? What is the impact? Where's the statistics that having this casino gambling, does it raise the crime rate? Because just this morning, 4 homes in Jonia got broken into, but not because of casino gambling. So those are the things that need to be considered, and the data that comes along with that should be compiled completely to get a better picture of whether or not the impact of having casino gambling is really a no. So I think those things need to be considered. If not, then there really shouldn't be a reason not to have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank everyone for your input, and the community will take your testimony under advisement, and we thank everyone for their participation. This committee will continue to receive testimonies 10 days after today via email, Senator Pedo at senatorjpterlaje.com. And it can be hand-delivered to Bridge Point Building, Suite 202-140 Aspinall Avenue. This public hearing is adjourned. Thank you.